Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्त्रोत्र श्रीमद चरणारिंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्त्रोत्र श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री लहरीदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया की जय। यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय, ताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. Verse number 10. Yadarthena vinamushya pumsa atma viparyayaha pratiyatau padrashtuhu Shvashiraschedanaadikaha. Yadarthena vinamushya pumsa atma viparyayaha pratiyatau padrashtuhu Shvashiraschedanaadikaha. Yadarthena vinamushya pumsa atma viparyayaha pratiyatau padrashtuhu Shvashiraschedanaadikaha. Mataji. What translation? Yad, thus, arthena, a purpose or meaning, vina, without, amushya, of such a one, pumsaha, of the living entity, atma viparyayaha, upset about self-identification, pratiyate, so appear, upadrashtuhu, of the superficial onlooker, Swashiraha, own head, Chedana Adikaha, cutting off. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Purport. A teacher in the school once threatened his pupil that he would cut off the pupil's head and hang it on the wall so that the child could see how his head has been cut off. The child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls those mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. Actually, there is no bondage or misery for the living entity, nor does he ever lose his pure knowledge. In his pure consciousness, when he thinks a little seriously about his position, he can understand that he is eternally subordinate to the mercy of Supreme, and that his attempt to become one with the Lord is a false illusion. Life after life, the living entity falsely tries to lord it over material nature and become the lord of the material world. But there is no tangible result. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material activities and tries to become one with the Lord and speculate with much jugglery of the words, but without success. These activities are performed under the dictation of the illusory energy. The experience is compared to the experience of once having his head cut off in a dream. The man whose head has been cut off also sees that his head has been cut off. If person's head is severed, he loses his power to see. Therefore, if a man sees that his head has been cut off, it means that he thinks like that in hallucination. Similarly, a living entity is eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he has this knowledge with him, but artificially thinks that he is God himself, and that although he is God, he has lost his knowledge due to Maya. This conception has no meaning, just as there is no meaning to seeing one's head being cut off. This is the process by which knowledge is covered. And because this artificial rebellious condition of the living entity gives him all troubles, it is to be understood that he should take to his normal life as a devotee of the Lord and be relieved from the misconception of being God. The so-called liberation of thinking oneself God is the last reaction of avidya by which the living entity is trapped. The conclusion is that a living entity deprived of eternal transcendental service to the Lord becomes illusioned in many ways. Even in his conditioned life, he is eternal servant of the Lord. His servitude under the spell of illusory Maya is also a manifestation of his eternal condition of service. Because he has rebelled against the service of the Lord, he is therefore put in the service of Maya. He is still serving, but in a perverted manner. When he wants to get out of the service under material bondage, he next desires to become one with the Lord. This is another illusion. The best course, therefore, is to surrender unto the Lord and thus get rid of the illusory Maya for good. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Devi Hesha Gunamayi, Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyate Shatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are continuing our discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 7. Seeking blessings from all the devotees so that I can speak something for my own purification. So this is a section where Maitreya Muni is answering the inquiries of Vidurji. So in the 5th and 6th verse of this chapter, Vidurji asked a question about living entity. And this 10th verse is the answer to that question. So the question was, pure soul is pure consciousness, is never out of consciousness. So how is it that the pure soul gets covered by ignorance? It is always pure. So how can the jiva be bewildered by Maya? So that is the question which Vidurji has asked. Because he gives a additional support to his question. He says, Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart. Then why the living entities suffer? It is as if the police commissioner is staying in the house and still the thief is stealing. How is this possible? The Supreme Lord, who is the controller of Maya, he is staying in the Atma, in the heart, along with Atma. So how is it that the soul suffers? This doesn't, look logical. So that shows that, is the king irresponsible? Is the police commissioner irresponsible? No, it can't be. So what is the reason for all these things? And then he says, I am completely illusioned about this. Please clear up this doubt in my heart. So of course, when Vidurji says he is illusioned, he is asking for the welfare of all of us, all the people in general, so that we can understand why we are suffering. So in this verse, Maitreya Muni is answering why the living entity, although pure consciousness, pure soul, why he suffers. So he gives a simple answer. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. So the distress which we face, it is because of our misidentification, as Srila Prabhupada writes. So this distress is common in everyone's life, whoever they may be. Whether one is a materialist trying to enjoy this material world, whether one is a sadhaka trying to develop relation with the Lord, or whether a pure devotee. He also goes through distress. He is always connected with the Lord. He also suffers some distress. But the nature of the distress experienced by all these three types of people, they are different. So we are discussing about that. What is the nature of the distress of the conditioned soul? What is the distress of a sadhaka? And what is the distress of a pure devotee? So in this world, every conditioned soul is running to get happiness, to get away from material distress. But what they get is, they want an ocean of happiness, but they get a drop of happiness. Kutra shisha shruti sukha mrigatrishni rupa kvedam kalevaram ashesharujam viroha. As Prahlad Maharaj says, Oh my Lord, in this world, where is auspiciousness? Kutra ashisha. It is all shruti sukha, sunne mein acha lagta hai. It looks good to hear about the pleasures of the world. But it is like running in the desert after a mirage. Kvedam kalevaram ashesharujam viroha. It gives unlimited pain. Therefore, people in this world, they want ocean of happiness, but what they get is kamanalam madulavai. They get a drop of happiness. So when people suffer, they always ask this question, what happened? Why I am suffering? Why? मैंने ऐसे कौन से कर्म किए? So this is the question which people ask. People want to know about what they did in the past life, what they were in the past life. Indradhan Maharaj, he recalls that one time Srila Prabhupada was in Paris. And Prabhupada gave a talk and then he asked, are there any questions? So one lady raised her hand and said, Swamiji, what was I in my past life? So Prabhupada ignored the question. He took another question. The lady then stood up. Swamiji, I want you to answer my question, what I was in my last life. Again Prabhupada ignored. After some time, again she raised her hand, she got up. Third time she's asking this question. And then Prabhupada said, it's not so important what you were in the last life, but what you'll be in your next life. That is more important. And then this lady said, oh, so what can I be in my next life? Prabhupada said, you can be a devotee of Krishna in your next life. So therefore, when people, they ask why I am suffering, what I was, they are not asking the right question. They are asking a wrong question, because spiritual life begins with when we say, what can I do now? So no one is asking why they are suffering. The base, the root cause of the suffering they don't want to know. So anything in this world creates distress. People, they run after wealth of this world. Wealth creates distress in any stage. Arthasya sadhane siddhe utkarshe rakshane vyaye nash upabhog ayashas tras chinta bhram. You want to acquire wealth, you want to increase it, save it, protect it, even spend it. 4 things come automatically. Great labor, ayasha, tras common Marathi word hai. Tras, chinta, anxiety and illusion, bhram. So the wealth creates distress. Even if somebody wants to do sense gratification, it creates distress. As Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has stamped this world dukkhalaya. Anything you want to do in this world, it will create distress. Yahi samsparshaja bhoga dukkhayona yayavate. You want to enjoy sense gratification, yanmaithunadi grihamedi sukhamitucham kanduyanena karayor iva dukkha. So dukkha is a common denominator in this world. And when living entities, they suffer in this world, they don't think that they'll suffer perpetually. They always try to find some means to mitigate the distress. But what they experience as happiness is the gap between the two distress. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes a beautiful bhajan, how a living entity is trying to just get the knowledge and the pleasures of this world. Jada vidya jata mayara vaibhava tomara bhajane badha. The people want to acquire more and more knowledge, thinking that it will give them happiness. But what happens? It creates illusion. Moha janmiya nitya samsare jiva ke korai gadha. It looks good to hear, but he is giving strong, chastisement. One becomes a donkey. Jiva ke korai gadha. One becomes like an ass. And what this ass does? Sai gada hoye, samsare ra bojha, bahinu anek kala. And one keeps on carrying the load of material life, family, all the job and all the society and all the things of the world. And then in due course of time, one becomes old. Doesn't realize when one becomes old. As it is said, samay sabko chupchap booda bana deta hai. We don't even realize when we have become old. Bardhakya ekona shaktira bhave kichu nahi lage bhalo. And when one becomes old, because all the desires for sense gratification are frustrated, all the family members, they don't give respect as he was expecting. He could not enjoy, he could not get respect as he wanted. Kichu nahi lage bhalo. Nothing now gives him pleasure. And life becomes a burden. Jivana yatana hailo khona se vidya vidya bhelo. Because of that vidya, the material knowledge, it has proven worthless ignorance. Se vidya avidya bhelo. In the end of the life, in the old age, one realizes whatever I read, whatever I learned, it is not helping me now. And therefore, he says, this knowledge, the material knowledge is like now pointed shaft, giving me all the pain, always piercing my heart. As Bhagavatam also describes, the 3rd canto, Kapila Dev is describing how A person in old age, how he suffers. All the family members, when they see that he is not able to support us now, they don't treat him properly. They disrespect him, just like a farmer, when the bull becomes old, doesn't give that bull good respect. Always troubled by old age, disease. And then he says, Grihapala iva. He's treated like a pet dog, negligently, suffers. As Vidurji also told Dhritarashtra, Bhima pavarjitam pindam madatte grihapalavat. So we are living like a dog. So people, when they live their life, spending all their energy for getting some money and developing some respect in the society, in the end of their life, they realize it is not helping me, it is not giving me happiness. Because ultimately all these things, they give superficial happiness for some time. Srila Prabhupada, once he was in the morning walk and he saw one person playing golf. He was an old man and playing golf, 6:30 in the morning. So Prabhupada asked one devotee, what is he doing? He said, Prabhupada, he is learning to put this ball in the hole. He is playing golf. Prabhupada said, just see how he is wasting his life. All he is doing is putting all his energies in putting a ball in a hole. He could have practiced Krishna consciousness at this time. So that's why when people, they don't realize what gives happiness, they are always in distress. Pidaye asthira chintaya jvarita abhave jvalita chitta. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in another bhajan, Pidaye asthir, all the disease now trouble him. As one devotee was saying, till 30, health topics are boring. Then after 30, they become interesting. After 40, they become exciting. After 50, they are of concern. And after 60, they are the only things you talk about. So, pidaya asthira chintaya jvarita, constant anxiety makes him feverish. Abhave jvalita chitta, and heart burns in anxiety. And he says, Upayana dekhi, now I don't see any way how to get out of this pain and troubles. I am very afraid now. So that is how the living entity, the conditioned soul, is always in distress because they want immediate pleasure. But Krishna is very clearly described in Bhagavad Gita, whatever gives pleasure in the beginning, it is painful in the end. Vishayendriya samyogad yatyad agre amritopamam pariname visham iva tat sukham rajasam smritam. All the happiness of this world is happiness in the mode of passion. But the happiness of spiritual life, it is in goodness. Although in the beginning it is painful, the process of chanting, process of hearing Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavad Gita, it is painful. Because we have no taste for it, but still, in the end, it is pleasurable. But because the living entity, as Srila Prabhupada writes in the Purport, is covered by ignorance. And the avaranatmika shakti of material energy covers the living entity. And what gets covered? Avritam jnanam etena. The knowledge that I am not this body, I am soul, gets covered. And because of that false identification, one starts suffering in this world. So that's how the living entity, the ordinary conditioned soul, keeps on suffering. In the second canto, 7th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asks a similar question. He asks, how a living entity which is material can get a body which is spiritual? It is not a good combination. Material and spiritual, they can never come together. So there, Shukdev Goswami also describes similar example. Atma maya rite rajan parasyano bhavatmanaha na ghatetartha sambandha swapna drashtur ivanjasa. He says the question itself is wrong. There is no relation between the soul and the matter. It is just like a dream state. Because of the dream state, a person thinks that I am suffering. In Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, Krishna speaks very interesting verse. Ichha, dvesh, sukha, dukha, sanghatas, chetana, dhriti. All these emotions, hatred and desire, happiness, distress. He says, etat kshetra samasena. These are the transformations of the body. But if we see that these emotions are experienced by whom? By the body or by the soul? We experience or the body experiences? Of course, we'll see we experience it. But Krishna says it is transformation of the body. Etat kshetram samasena. So why Krishna is saying it is transformation of the body? Although we are experiencing. A simple example is given if somebody sits to watch a movie. When the hero is having good time, dancing with the heroine and having a good time with the relatives, the audience are also very happy. And when hero is beaten by the villain, his mother dies, then he also cries. The audience is also crying. Nothing is happening to the audience. But why they are crying? Because they are identifying with the hero. मैं भी उधर होता, मेरे साथ भी ऐसा होता. So that's how when we start identifying with somebody, we suffer. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a simple example. It is all because of our mental conditionings. A man, when he is fatigued, when he is carrying the beloved, the beloved young girl, he is not feeling fatigued. When a father or a mother is carrying the child, they are not feeling fatigued. Why? Because of their mental condition. This is for my enjoyment. I give a simple example. It's like if we do Govardhan Parikrama. While doing Govardhan Parikrama, even a handkerchief becomes heavy. And if somebody says you have to carry a 2 kg bag and do Parikrama, so how many of us will be excited? Chalo, bag utha ke karenge. But if another detail is given, in that there is 2 kg gold. And if you do Parikrama, it will be yours. Then how many of us will be excited? Chalega, we'll try. We'll take the burden. Because the future is bright. We start thinking in the mind that, it will give me happiness. So that is what is happening in this world. Then the 2 kg will not become burdensome. It will become a source of pleasure. Because the mind is thinking of the future. So that is what is happening in this world. We always think of the future, thinking that this will give me happiness, so I am happy. So it is all misidentification. As Kapiladev describes, all the happiness and fatigue one experiences, it is due to transformations of the mind. Dukkham sukham vyatiriktam chativram. It is all transformation of the mind. Because the mind, ensures that you will enjoy. It promises that you will enjoy. So that's why we start enjoying, thinking that we'll enjoy. But actually, it is not so pleasurable. The pleasure is in the mind only. And all the happiness of this world, they don't satisfy the soul. The story of Yayati describes this graphically. He enjoyed his whole life, but still is saying, I am not satisfied. He is trading off the youth with his son. And I want to enjoy more. So that's how a person living in this world, conditioned soul, trying to enjoy, it is like the person who is in the dream state. And if a person in the dream is chased by a tiger, he is running, he is shouting. All of us have seen people shouting in dreams at night. But if somebody says, why is he shouting? For that person who is shouting, for that person, the misery is real. So it is not that he is just faking. For the person who is sleeping and he is being chased by tiger, for him the misery is real. So only way how to get this person out of this misery, if somebody says, I'll also sleep beside him, I'll enter his dream, I'll chase away the tiger with a gun. No, it doesn't work. What we have to do? Wake him up. Jiva jago, Gaura Chandra bole. So all the devotees and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are just coming to wake us up. But Maya Devi is such a cunning person, she doesn't allow us to get up. She keeps telling, please sleep peacefully, don't worry, it is not so bad. And that's how the misidentification continues. So if we use our free will and try to turn towards Krishna, then the distress of a living entity can be reduced, can be destroyed. Otherwise, we have forgotten what we have. Chakravarti Thakur gives the example. The condition of a living entity is like that a person who has a jewel locket hanging on his chest and he is thinking, I have lost my jewel. Sometimes it has happened to some of us. We have a pen in our pocket and we are searching everywhere. So that is the condition of a living entity. We have the costliest jewel with us. We have the biggest personality with us, the Supreme Lord, who is ready to give us the happiness, but still we are searching for happiness everywhere. Ekantalabham vachasonupamsam sushloka maule gunavadamahu Shrutesha vidvad birupakritayam katha sudhayam upasamprayogam. So when a living entity realizes this, that the only pleasure in this world, only benefit in this world is sushloka maule gunavadamahu. When we turn towards Krishna, try to hear his name, form, pastimes. All the great personalities have told us. Vidvadbhir. All the great souls, all the great devotees, they have already told this. But still the living entity thinks, nay. I will try. I will definitely get something. Nitya baddha Krishna hoite, nitya bahir mukha, nitya samsara bhunje nara kadi dukha. And this desire to get happiness in this world makes a living entity run from one planet to another planet, one species to another species. Nitya samsar bhunje nara kadi dukha. Kam krodhera dasahaya taralati khai. And he is beaten by Maya Devi because he wants to enjoy in this world. But somehow, when he gets association of devotees, he says, Kama krodhera dasahaya taralati khai bhramite yadi sadhu vaidya pai. So a devotee is compared to a physician here. Tara upadesha mantre pishachi palaye. In the previous times, people, they had the knowledge of removing the poison of a snake by chanting mantras. So when we are bitten by the snake of desires, so this devotee, he comes and chants this mantra. We are fallen in this well, this deep dark well of material existence. Manasi japane joshte, labda patosmi doshte. We are fallen in this well of material existence. And in this well, there is no water, there is snake. The snakes, what are these snakes? These snakes are born from the mind. Manasija. What type of snakes take birth from mind? Snake of desires. Manasija panijoshte labdapatos midushte. And they have bitten us. And trying to get out of this well, it is impossible because it is deep and it is dark. Timir gahana rupe hanta sansara kupe. Now I am fallen in this well, oh my Lord, what to do? Please help me. So if somebody is in the well, only way is throw a rope. So the Lord has thrown a rope in this material world to bring the conditioned souls out of it. Ajita nikhil raksha hetu sansara daksha. O Ajita, O unconquerable Lord, you are expert in protecting your devotees. Please help me. Upanaya mama haste bhakti rajju namaste. Please give me the rope of your devotion. So this rope is thrown by the devotees. So the devotee is called here as साधु वैद्य तारो उपदेश मंत्रे पिशाची पलाए, Krishna bhakti पाए तबे Krishna निकटे आए. So that is how a living entity trying to enjoy in this world doesn't get happiness but suffers. But by the mercy of the Lord, if they start practicing devotional service, come in touch with devotees, then they also become happy. So there is education needed in this world, not just to get lucrative careers, but also to get to come out of this illusion that I want to enjoy, but how to enjoy in a good way, how to enjoy actually. The knowledge of this world, that is called as avidya. Avidya means that knowledge which takes us away from spiritual life, original happiness. So this avidya is there in this world, but we have to move from avidya to vidya. Of course, avidya is also needed in this world. The knowledge of this world is also needed. As Ishopanishad says, vidyam cha avidyam cha yastad ved ubhayam saha. But the problem is, people are only interested in avidya, not the vidya of the world, vidya of the spiritual world. So when we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we realize there is not much happiness in this world. Sukham indriyakam daitya dehinam dehayoginam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham ayatnataha. As Prahlad Maharaj is telling to his friends, why are you endeavoring for happiness? Do you endeavor for pain? It comes. Similarly, even if you don't endeavor for happiness, it will come. Try to develop relation with Krishna. Because if we don't develop relation with the Lord, if our mind, if our intelligence is not connected to Krishna, na asti buddhi ayukta, na cha yuktasya bhavana, how can there be peace? Na cha bhavayata shanti. And if there is no shanti, how can there be sukha? There is no happiness without peace. So all the devotees are coming to tell us about take shelter of Krishna. Lord himself comes. He comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he has come to give highest to the lowest. Rupa Goswami, when he meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Prayag, he speaks two beautiful verses. First verse we have heard many times. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha. I offer my obeisances to most merciful, munificent Lord. Next also is a very beautiful verse he speaks. Yogyanamattam bhuvanam dayalu ullaghayanyapyakarot pramattam swaprema sampat sudhayadbhuteham Shri Krishna Chaitanya mamom prapadye. He says, Yo agyan mattam, people in this world, they are completely mad because of ignorance. Yo agyan mattam, they are in distress. Bhuvanam, all the living entities in this world, but you, oh my Lord, you are dayalu. You are most merciful. What you have done? Ullaghayan, you have surpassed all the processes of karma, jnana, yoga, and you have also made living entities mad. People were mad already. You have made them mad in different way. Pramattam, you have made them pakka mad. How? Swaprema sampat sudhaya, you have given your nectar, treasure of love of God. Your own love of God. Swaprema sampat sudhaya. Adbhuta, you are so wonderful, O my Lord. Shri Krishna Chaitanya mamum prapadye. I take shelter of that merciful Lord. So that's how Supreme Lord comes, living, all the great devotees come, just to give us this, chance to become actually happy, bring us out of the distress. So only way to enjoy is to become liberated. Because in conditioned life, one cannot enjoy. A few days back, one devotee was, in a humorous way, he was telling, that Prabhuji, I am reading this Kapila and Kardam Muni and Devahuti's pastime. This is not fair. He was like joking that just see, this Lord is giving all the wealth and all the happiness and enjoyment to Karda Muni. He is giving him the best of the beautiful wife. थोड़ा हमको भी दे देते. We are also trying. Why is it that Lord gives, all these liberated souls only, and He is telling sadhakas, control your senses? So the reason is because the living entities, the liberated souls, they will not get bewildered by sense gratification. As Sudama, he tells, as he's returning, Lord didn't give him anything. He didn't go for asking also. Lord didn't give him anything. So he's not blaming the Lord. I didn't ask, but you knew my heart. आप बिना मांगे दे देते. अधनोयम धनम प्राप्य माद्यन्नुच्चैर्न माम स्मरेत इति कारुणिको नूनम धनम मे भूरिना ददात. He says, because the Lord knew, if I will give him sense gratification, he'll become mad with sense gratification. Therefore, he didn't give him. But when Lord knows that, this devotee of mine will not be bewildered, He gives. Prahlad didn't want anything. Lord said, you enjoy for one manvantar. Dhruva Maharaj said, I don't want anything. Lord says, you enjoy for 36,000 years. So that's how, if we really want to enjoy in this world, the easiest way is to become a liberated soul. Of course, it is not the easiest way, but that's the only way available. So the best way to get relieved of material distress is to get purified. But sadhakas also suffer. They also go through distress. Why the sadhakas suffer? When they are not able to follow principles, when we are not able to practice bhakti as per our expectations, we are troubled by our anarthas, we are troubled by mental speculation, we are troubled because of too much of services sometimes. Just like Balbhadra Bhattacharya. Mahaprabhu is in ecstasy in Vrindavan, and all the devotees are coming and asking, please tell Mahaprabhu to come for prasad at my home. And everybody is giving nimantran, invitation. Every day 20 invitations are coming. And Bichara Balbhadra is managing all these invitations. So he really gets disturbed. So he goes to Mahaprabhu and says, Mahaprabhu, there is one problem. Sahite na pari lo kera garbadi nimantrana lagi lok kare hoda hodi. I am not able to manage and handle all this garbadi, this huge crowd, and everybody is just competing for invitation. Prata kale aise lok tomare na paye lok mora matha kaye. You go in the morning, you leap for Imli Tal, and you sit there and chant nicely. And people, they come and they eat my head. They are giving me all tension. So, Udvigna hoila pran. I am really in distress. Please help me. So, all these things, they trouble a sadhaka. But the biggest trouble a sadhaka goes through is when they face their anarthas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in Madhurya Kadambini how sadhaka goes through various types of anarthas. In the practice of anishtita bhajan, there are various stages. First is utsahamai. Sometimes we feel so very enthusiastic. Sometimes we feel abhi kuch nahi karna hai. I don't want to do anything. That is the initial stages. Sometimes devotees are very enthusiastic to chant, sometimes they don't chant. Then they go through next stage of ghana tarala. Sometimes they practice intense devotional service, and sometimes they feel, itni bhi kya jaldi hai, we'll do aaram se. Then they go through another stage that is called as vyudha vikalpa. How should I practice my devotional service? What type of job should I take? What ashram should I take? Where should I practice devotional service? City or village? Then they cross this also. But the fourth stage is very, very deadly. That is called as Vishaya Sangar. Vishaya Sankar means when there is an internal tug of war with material enjoyment. We want to give up sense gratification, but the thoughts of sense gratification, they keep haunting us. They keep troubling us. They keep distracting us. And for sadhaka, this is like poison. Biggest distress. Why I am not able to practice bhakti peacefully? This is most distressing for a sadhaka. And especially if it happens after years of practicing bhakti. Because after practicing years, a devotee starts thinking, abhi to settle ho raha hai sab. Now I am able to practice peacefully. And as Gaurang Prabhu would say sometimes, when your arthas are not troubling you, don't think they are gone. They are in hiding. After many years of practice, they'll pop up again. And then a devotee is bewildered, what happened? Just like when Dhruva, he is fighting with the yakshas. At one point of time, all the yakshas are gone. So Dhruva, because he was very intelligent, he knew no one knows the plan of yakshas. So a devotee should be always mature to deal with the mind. One should never think, now I have controlled my mind. The mind can cheat at any given moment. So our mind will always cheat us. So there, Vishwanath Chakravarti, in the 5th canto, Shukdev Goswami describes how the mind should always be controlled like an animal which is captured. One can never trust an animal which is captured. One can never trust a servant who has bad character. So one should never trust the mind. So a devotee should be intelligent enough always to ask for the right thing. Saraja raje navaraya chodito dhruvo mahabhagavato mahamati. When Kuvera comes and he gives a benediction, this is another temptation which comes in the life of our sadhaka. Name, fame will come, all the opulences will come. Dhruvo mahabhagavato mahamati. Because Dhruva, he was a great soul, very intelligent devotee. What he asked? Harau savavre achalitam smritim yayo taratya yatnena duratyayam tama. He asked, O Kuverji, please give me unflinching remembrance of the Supreme Lord. So that is how, when the mind creates all the illusions, when after years of practice, when the halahal wish starts coming out, creating an intense distress, a devotee should never try to handle that poison himself. Just like the devatas, they didn't handle the poison themselves when it started coming out. They went to Lord Shiva. So we have to take shelter of some senior expert devotee who can help us. So in the case of Dhruva, all the sages of the Siddhalok, they came to help him. And what the devotee tells us? Have faith in the names of the Lord. Have faith in the plan of the Lord. Lord has a plan for everyone. So it is very, very important to approach a devotee. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, better to look stupid than to act stupid. Because after practicing years and years of bhakti, one may think, how can I go and ask some devotee? Log kya sochenge mere baare mein? But what happened is we ended up acting in a wrong way. So therefore a devotee humbly approaches, a sadhaka approaches another devotee. Jnana avalambaka kechit karma avalambaka vayam tu haridasanam padatrana avalambaka. So devotee always takes shelter of another, a sadhaka takes shelter of another devotee. So that's how a devotee in the sadhaka stage keeps on going through distress but never leaves. A devotee never leaves this process of bhakti thinking that this is not for me, I am really troubled. Badhyamanopi madbhakto vishayar jitendriyaha prayah pragalbhaya bhaktya vishayar nabhibhuyate. Krishna himself tells Uddhav, my devotee may fall many times, he'll not be able to conquer over senses, vishayar ajitendriyaha, but the most important thing is, he practices intense devotion. Pragalbha bhakti, he never leaves the Lord. He never leaves the shelter of devotees. Vishayair na bhuyate. In the ultimate end, he will not be defeated. Whether distress or whether happiness, it is both given by the Lord. One time, one devotee, Ananga Manjari Mataji, she was recalling that Prabhupada was giving a class in Delhi, and he was telling that if you become devotee of Krishna, you will always enjoy. So this devotee, Mataji, she was thinking, okay, but devotee goes through distress also. So she asked, Prabhupada, is it to the extent that we are conscious, Krishna conscious, then we are under Krishna? Otherwise we are under our karma? Yeah, that is the general understanding people have. We are going through our karmic reactions. So she asked this. Because people say, unless we are pure devotees, we are under our karmic reaction. She says, is it that to the extent we are Krishna conscious, we are under Krishna, otherwise we are under karma? Prabhupada said, no, it is all Krishna. It is all Krishna. If we are suffering, it is like Krishna giving some punishment to correct us, like a chataka bird. Sometimes the clouds, they shower thunderbolt. So that's how all the distress and the happiness of a sadhaka is given by the Lord, so that we can become a better devotee. And of course, the distress of a pure devotee is when he sees living entities suffering, when he sees his past conditionings, like Dhruva. He is thinking, as he takes darshan of the Lord, gets all the benedictions from the Lord, he should be the happiest person, right? But he is lamenting. As he is returning, he is lamenting. Why he is lamenting? How can I ask for material? How can I worship the Lord with material desires? And then at one point of time, you know what he says? He says, these devatas have cheated me. These devatas, they have spoiled my intelligence. Matir vidushita deva. They could not tolerate my elevation in spiritual life. So it is not that he is actually meaning it. It is like, these words are coming out of frustration. If we do some mistake and there are some senior devotees, we say, "Arey, मैं गिर रहा था, आपको तो दिख रहा था, आप बता देते? You should have saved us." So that is the frustration of a pure devotee. He sees his past and he laments, he regrets. How can I worship Krishna with material desires? When they see living entities suffering, shoche tato vimukha chetas indriyartha. Prahlad Maharaj suffers. Even Lord suffers when he sees the living entities going away from him. So the distress is a common denominator, but the nature of distress differs. The material conditioned soul suffers because of material distress. The devotees, sadhakas, and the pure devotees, they suffer because of spiritual distress. So this is a way we can understand how a living entity, when we start practicing bhakti, we can come out of the distress, and from material distress to spiritual distress. Tomara sevaya dukkha hoye, seoto parama sukha. Thank you very much. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.